呢，我们就有请到了新州农业部农业害虫抗药性管理首席科学家 Dr Grant Harron 来为大家介绍转基因在棉花生产上面的使用。Please welcome Dr Grant Harron. Come to the stage and give us a presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Grant Harron. I'm an insecticide resistance specialist with New South Wales DPI. I used to be a principal research scientist and I retired 2 years ago and the department brought me back. Apparently you can't go down to Coles and find insecticide resistance specialists in the rows for sale. So I'm back entertaining you until they can find someone to replace me. I hope that's in the next couple of years anyway. So I'm here talking about my work and insecticide resistance, but what I want to do is put it in perspective so that you can see how I've used transgenic technology to better manage insects of agricultural significance and reduce the harm that insecticides are potentially doing to the environment, especially in agriculture.
这个我帮大家翻译一下，可能基本差不多。这个 Dr. Grant Harron 呢是农业部的前首席科学家，他已经退休了。那么因为他这个专业呢是具有这个非常的前沿性和不可替代性，所以说他又被返聘回来了。那么今天呢就是讲的，就是说他举了一个例子，他是实际上也是说呢，就是说Harron 博士的他的不可替代性。你不可能随便找一个到 Coles 去，有一个什么商品呢，像一样的能找他一样。我刚才在向他开玩笑，就是他是 irreplaceable， 就是不可替代性。他的这个专业和经验呢，非常非常的这个珍贵。那么他就说，今天呢，在这个具体背景下讲一下这个转基因的东西呢，对我们生活的当中的一些影响。
So, what is insecticide resistance? We've got two definitions there. You've got a technical definition and you've got a practical definition, and there's some things which are similar between the two. The technical definition is it's caused by selection, so something is killing something, and by doing that you have a genetic change. So insecticide resistance is caused by genetic selection. And then there's actually a practical definition of that. So you have genetic resistance, and that causes field control failures where products don't work where they previously have worked before. So the genetic change is causing a chemical to fail. And that's a real nuisance. If you run out of chemicals, you'll lose whole cropping systems.
你们听到了，他没有按照这个东西来讲。对我来说，挑战也挺大的。隔行如隔山，这个律师来给这个农业科学家翻译也有点挑战。他说呢，这个杀虫剂的抗药性呢，基本上有2个不同的概念，一个是学术上的概念。简单来说呢，学术上的概念就是说一种杀死另一种。那么就是说，这个实际当中的这个 practical 的概念是什么呢？就是说，由于这个药物的使用。导致这个作物的这个对于相应这个杀虫剂的敏感性导致而产生基因改变。如果有更好的专家，你们理解的更好，回头告诉我啊。现在就不要讲了。
So this next slide, this is actually shot in the city. This would be in the domain, probably about the 1950s. It's one of our researchers, and it just highlights a point. You get insecticide resistance by inappropriate insecticide use, and I reckon that's inappropriate. Although he does have his full safety gear on, he's wearing a tie. And it's overuse, like you just shouldn't be doing it. So you don't have to spray. If you see an insect, you don't have to spray. There's other ways of controlling insects rather than spraying, which I'll get onto. So the problem with insecticides, they just work too well.And people just wanted to spray because it was an easy answer.
大家看到这个题目呢，是指的抗药性主要由于过度的使用来导致的。它这个照片呢， 他这个 slide 之前我们看到，但他刚才说的信息我也不知道。他说这个是在这个喷洒农药呢，这张照片是在50年代在 The main use 使用的，离咱们不远是吧？那么就是说，他说这明显是不符合这个安全要求，他也是开了一个玩笑。他说这个喷洒农药的人呢，实际上是有这个安全的防护措施的，但是呢，非常明显的是，他觉得这是不对的，是过度使用。
So how resistance develops, it's an evolutionary thing, and I said it caused by genetic change. And if you look at that next slide, this is a schematic of it, and the red triangles represent something that is resistant, and resistant individuals are popping up in the population just naturally all the time. 1 in 100,000, 1 in a million, 1 in 10 million, they're just there, and they're just always happening. And the thing is, you've got them there, and you spray. You put on your spray, that spray does something. It selects. So, everything has not died. The resistant individuals have gone, but the susceptible individuals that make up most of the population have been killed. So the frequency's changed.
他说的这个抗药性是怎么产生的呢？那么刚开始呢，使用杀虫剂或者是喷雾导致的，就是说它这个在自然当中自然就会产生，可能100%、1000万分之一、100%逐渐的这个情况就会产生。
So the population built up again, but you can see there's more of them, but the frequencies are the same between those red ones, which are resistant, and the yellow triangles, which aren't resistant. And you spray again.
那个自然的作为作物呢，它是一个自然的选择过程。那么这个抗药性呢，就会自然的越来越强。那么就是说，大家看到这个 pattern 这个样子呢，就会越来越多。
And now all of a sudden, the population's changed, and you've got resistant individuals rather than susceptible individuals, and all of a sudden you're in the point that you're in control phase. Your chemicals just do not work.
那么逐渐的发现呢，由于这个容易感染成这个抗药性的这个作物，逐渐变成完全具有抗药性作物的，那么这样就越来越多。你就简单的发现什么呢？这个杀虫剂不工作了。
So again, the population's built up, but now it's only resistant individuals, and you can't do very much about it unless you've got a different chemical, and you do run out of chemicals, and then the system collapses.
那么逐渐这样的话，那么这样的这个作物就变成完全具有抗药性的单独的物种。那么这种情况下，它已经成为一个独立的这个物种。下面你用的这个化学东西呢，就是完全不起作用的，你只有另起炉灶，想其他的办法。
So now I want to give an example of the new technology, the transgenic technology. So what did we have before that? So in the early 1960s to the late 1990s, and using cotton as an example, we used to spray it. We used to spray it often. So there I've got 10 to 14 sprays per year, but if things were going bad, we might be having 50 sprays a year. That's a lot of sprays.
那么就是说，他现在呢用这个澳洲的棉花呢作为一个例子，就是在60年代一直到90年代呢，会广泛的来运用，主要是喷洒农药。那么这个喷洒农药呢，刚开始呢1年10到14次，那么最后呢1年达到50次。
And these sprays were older chemicals, and they were broad spectrum, so they kill everything. So basically carbamates, organophosphates, and if you know your chemicals, that's the nerve toxins which are used militarily, and pyrethroids.
那么它用的这种杀虫药呢，实际上都是一个广谱的杀虫药。那么这里面包括，其实我说出中文名字，大家可能也不一定 make 太多 sense，就是叫氨基甲酸酯，还有有机磷之类的，还有叫逆除虫菊酯。那么就是说这个广谱的这种杀虫剂，有的是军事级别用的这样的药物。
And these sprays, they kill everything. What they do is they decimate the insect ecosystem. So all predators and parasitoids which may control the pest that you're trying to control, the insecticide, are killed. So the only thing you can do is spray. So it's a spray solution. You spray yourself into trouble, you don't generally spray yourself out of trouble.
他说这个杀虫剂呢，它实际上是呢，它这个药物很强。那么就是说，它把这个有益类的这个虫子呢也杀死了。这里边包括一些，比如说这个，那么这些有益的杀虫，包括比如说螳螂可以吃的棉芽虫啊，还有这个寄生蜂的这样的东西。这些东西本来是控制害虫的。那么我们就是这个结果，就是说，杀了这个虫药，就把这些虫子好的坏的都杀了。那么结果就是说，为了防止这情况，你就必须杀虫药、喷药、喷药、喷药。那我们只能是最后导致结果呢，只有这一个选择，没有别的选择。
But something changed in 1995, 1996. Transgenic cotton arrived. So what it has in transgenic cotton, it has a toxin that kills the number one pest in cotton. So by controlling the number one pest in cotton, you get a significant reduction in insecticide use. And that's a good thing, like just introducing a little bit of that technology, it reduced sprays by about 50%. But it allows you to do something else.
那么这个有些事情呢开始发生变化。1995年到96年的时候呢，这个基因改变的棉花被介绍到了澳大利亚。那么这里边有一个因素呢，就是说它把这个最头号的这个害虫，那么还要说了，就是棉芽虫的那个给除掉了。那么这样呢，导致了这个杀虫剂呢大量的被减少，减少了大概有50%。
So instead of just spraying what was left, we were able to use something else, another technology, and there it's called integrated pest or integrated resistance management, and that's using everything that you've got at your disposal in the most sustainable manner possible to get economic control.
那么这种方法呢，他们由于这个50%以上的杀虫剂的减少呢，导致了可以介绍进来一种新的方法，叫做有机性的害虫控制管理体系。那么让你用的尽量这个科学的方法，导致呢用不同的方式呢，让这个控制的方式能够更可持续发展。
So we went from a situation where we just used to spray to using multiple tactics, and they were broadly divided into resistance management tactics and IPM tactics.
那么用这个棉芽虫来做一个例子呢，就是来介绍一下怎么用综合的这种管理方法。一种方法呢，就是说抗药性的管理的这个实际技术，那么包括介绍的几种方法。另一种就是说综合性的害虫管理体系这种方法。
If we start with the resistance management tactics, we want to manage resistance. How would the best to do that? Use limits. So you spray once, don't spray twice. If you have to spray twice, alternate. Don't use the same chemical group.
那么就是这个方法呢，第一个设定上限，比如说我能用1次就不用2次，然后再就是交替使用。第一次用了一种这个杀虫剂之后，第二次用别的。
To make this process work, and it took a bit of time to get it refined, we took the alternation to extremes. So as well as spraying foliar sprays, chemicals can be incorporated into the soil, so we considered everything.
所以我们把这个交替的方法实际上用到了极致，那么甚至把这个化学元素呢一些东西放到这个土壤里面，我们就实际上试了各种各样的方法。
There's other technical things that you have to consider, like cross resistance, where a chemical fails even though that it's not being used before.
所以你在试用各种各样的方法来交替使用，有的时候呢，有一种化学这个药剂呢，即使是从来没有用过，也会失败的。
And remember, integrated pest management is using everything at your disposal. So if you had new chemistries, We use them in their appropriate fit when available.
所以记得刚才我们讲到那个 IPM 系统，我们用一切可以发现的使用的方法，所以说就是各种各样的技术呢都要包括进去交替使用。
And if this was overlaid with the IPM tactics, but in reality, both these things swap between these two headings.
那么刚才说，如果还有一点就是说，他说如果有新的化学药品呢，我们就会用我们新的东西。还有一个，这个就是前面说到那各种综合的这个技术方法和这个 IPM 这个综合这个管理害虫管理体系是交替使用的。那么有的时候就是比如说这个梅芽虫，它这个寄居的地方如果没有，我们就不使用东西。
If you do have to spray them, then be choosy with your insecticides. Only spray an insecticide that's going to kill aphids.
如果你必须使用杀虫剂呢，那你就使用这种杀虫剂，专门能杀死棉芽虫的，而不是其他东西。
It might say, we want to sample effectively for aphids, and the reason for this is all aphids in cotton don't actually live on cotton. So you want to be sure they're going to stay there, and to do that, you need to sample effectively for aphids.
他说用这个，那你要发现它的寄居的地方，就是说
Yeah. And if you do have to spray, you don't spray just because you see an aphid. You've got to be some sort of an economic reason to spray. They've got to get to some sort of a threshold that's going to give you damage. And if you think you're going to get damage, then you would spray. So you would observe your aphid spray thresholds.
他刚才说到这个，就是说这个的这个有这个 threshold 的一个就是一个起点呢。关键你不能说看到棉芽虫就要喷药，就是你还要考虑经济上的因素去考量。如果假如说你估计这个棉芽虫产生的量，最后导致你比如说这个棉花减产，让它有经济上的这个损失，达到一定程度以后，你才具体使用，不是发现就使用。
And there was other things that we needed to consider, like aphids transmit virus, virus kills plants. So you see aphids, you're going to spray it because they may transmit a virus. Another way of doing it is to plant plants which are resistant to the virus. So you can plant resistant varieties which gives you confidence in your thresholds and you don't have to spray. All of this is interrelated.
他说这个药啊，你真是不能随便使用。有的时候这个打药以后呢，那个棉芽虫呢，可能是它会把一些这个病毒呢传染过去。所以说，在各种方法你要交替使用才会更有效。
So how did it go? This is a slide which is referring to a specific chemical called primicarb, which is the IPM-friendly chemical that you want to use to control aphids.
他说的给大家这个表格呢，显示的这个 aphids Hospitalizating， 它就是棉芽虫的这个学术名字。后面这个叫抗芽威，我也是之前现学现卖的，这是一个很技术很强的一个术语。用这个图表给大家显示怎么使用这个广谱的杀虫药和这个产量之间的关系。
So, and across the bottom you can see season, and you can see we started in 96, 97, which is just after the transgenic technology was introduced. And up your x-axis, which is the 0 to 100% scale, is populations with resistance. So you can see that there was no resistance. We had to spray aphids, and resistance just exploded.
大家可以看到呢，你从下面开始呢是96到97年，就是基因改变棉花被介绍进来的时候，那个时候棉芽少很多，然后我们喷的就非常多。那就是刚才用那个词，就是爆炸性的这个增长。大家看到以后，后来这个综合技术使用以后呢，那么这个农药这个杀虫剂的喷洒呢就减少了很多。
But we started introducing and refining those techniques that I was talking about. It took a few years for it to happen, but we got control. And by 05, 06, resistance was at a manageable level, and now it is completely under control and it has gone.
那么就是说，我们就用了刚才说到这个各种综合的办法来控制。大家看到的05、06年的时候呢，那么这个 level 降到21，就到一个可以控制的一个水准。那么到后来呢，就是说就完全可以控制到，用我刚才提到的那几种技术方式结合起来。
What does that mean from a practical point of view? What we want is low input. So here is actually the amount of total chemical that was going onto cotton in those years that I was talking about. And it's split down between normal cotton, which is non-BT cotton, and the two ones at the top are BT cotton.
那么大家看这个图表呢，就是说实际上主要的目的控制的目的呢，就是减少各种化学药品呢在棉花当中的使用。那么这里头有3种不同的棉花，这个图表就是显示的，由于年代的变化、技术的这个改进，导致进入到棉花里的用的这个化学药品逐年减少。
So you can see that when we were having control issues between 1995 and 2000 and a bit, a lot of insecticide was going on with the cotton. But we got control in the BT and non-BT cotton, and eventually we've got it down to almost nothing. So Australian cotton is generally not sprayed with insecticide at all, and that is because of the transgenic technology that we're using, which has allowed us to put these management strategies into place. So that's a practical outcome, or a practical example how this technology can be used and how it can be good.
大家看到这个图表呢，就是大家看到95年，再到90几年之间呢，那么用的化学这个药品杀虫剂呢，量是非常之高的。逐渐呢，就是说我们逐渐呢，因为这个技术的使用，刚才提到几种方法混合使用，导致了逐渐现在几乎就没有他说的那2种棉花，就是没有这个化学药品的这个使用。那么就是说，实际上澳洲的棉花是没有杀虫剂的。这个主要就是我们刚才提到的，由于介绍进来的基因改变的一个作物导致的，所以说这就是这个基因改变的东西的好的方面一个例子。
So you people think that you've got problems with your ants at home and you want to spray. This woman's got a problem with her ants. Maybe she does have to spray.
你要是想这个觉得这个像这个害虫，你是不是这个你要希望用杀虫剂呢？你要是总是喷药，这就是你将要得到的东西。
So thank you for listening. That finishes my bit of the talk, but Ejo wanted me to say a bit and how he fits into this. Ejo is a senior research scientist in my group. I being the good looks and Ejo being the brains, obviously. And he's a molecular geneticist, so he does all of the biotechnology side of the stuff that I do. So all of the really clever, high-powered stuff that human beings shouldn't be able to understand, that's what Ejo does. And he's very good at it. And it's nice to be working with such a scientist of such high standing. So, thank you, Ejo.
翻译也没有必要，就是说，简单介绍一下陈一舟博士，说他曾经在一起的工作，首席科学家。那么陈一舟博士呢，是这个各种情况，是他是那个大脑是是遗传学吧，还是？然后呢，他说，当然他是这个形象代表，这个比较孤独体，这个说一个笑话。好的，谢谢大家。